Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to dive into all the Florida housing data. This is the most recent stats. I'm going to jump up and down Southwest Florida. We're going to go over to Miami, Jacksonville, and I'm also going to stop off in Ocala because they recently popped up on the top 10 list of highest foreclosures in the nation. So I want to see what's going on there. We'll take a look statewide as well. This is all going to come from the Florida Association of Realtors. Let's jump right in. All right, guys, so we're going to kick it off statewide here. Sales up 13% for single-family homes. This is just going to be single-family homes, guys. I will do a bonus condo round at the end of this, but I want to just stick with single-family. Paid in cash jumping 19%, but still, out of 21,000 sales, only 5,900 were cash. So still the vast majority using financing, even at these levels. No movement in the median sales price, a slight uptick in the average sales price. So maybe a little bit of stagnation here. Year over year, this is September to September. This is the most recent stats they give us. I'll get October stats at the end of November. That's just how they do it. So sometimes I pull from the MLS, but I like to stay here and stay uniform. 94% of your asking price is what you can expect to get statewide for your house. Pending sales actually up 7% as well, but total pending inventory is down 2.8%. So this is just right here what went under contract in September, and this is everything that's under contract as compared to last year. So pending sales are slightly down from last year, even though we're having a much stronger September for putting stuff under contract and closings. Inventory up 10%, still hovering around 106. This has been bouncing between 105 to 115 range all year long. So it hasn't moved drastically. 5.1 months of inventory. That's actually down from what it's been statewide. It was getting close to 6, but still that's up 10% from the previous year. So currently we have 27% of all purchases being bought cash. Now that might surprise people. Sometimes it goes up to 33 like you see here in season in January, but I hear a lot of people say, oh, everyone's buying cash. It's all cash investors. Over 70% of the people that bought in September and really subsequently all year here used financing, guys. So it's not all cash purchases going on around the state. And you can see median sales price here has pretty much leveled off over the past 2 years. It's very stable. If we look year to date, it's only down 1.6%, but it is still down. Average sales price kind of doing the same thing. It's only up 0.5% year to date. So we're not seeing the huge climbs we once were. All right, diving down into the county, Sarasota having a killer sales month, closing 25% more homes than they did the previous September. 24% increase in how many people paid in cash. That's quite a bit there as well. So median sales price, though, down 8.2%. Average sales price, 2.3% increase. Kind of a mixed bag there. You're getting about 92% of your asking price in Sarasota County. Currently, new pending sales way up. 23% increase, guys. That's a huge jump. Total pending inventory up 9% from last September as well. Active listings also up 10%. So even though they're crushing sales here in Sarasota, still listing too many properties. 4.8 months of inventory. Now, if you remember from my video where I discussed the MLS stats, it's at 6 months because they measure it differently. So 3,000 homes, though, that's a lot. It's less than there was from what I saw in the MLS, though, but still 4.8 months of inventory. This is technically a seller's market, according to them. We'll see how the fall progresses here. Okay, Punta Gorda MSA, basically Charlotte County, also seeing a massive sales influx. 25% increase from the previous year. Cash sales are up quite a bit as well, going up 26% from the previous year. That's a big jump. But prices still fall, though not as crazy as we've seen in the Punta Gorda MSA. Negative 1.6% on the median, negative 3.4 on the average. That's very, very minuscule compared to what normally we've been seeing here. And this is several months of smaller price declines year over year where it was pretty massive for a while. I mean, it was not uncommon to see 10 or 15% drops in these numbers during season. So we'll see what happens. 91% of your asking price here is what you can expect to get. You know, people put in 12, 15% under ask offers. Sometimes sellers get offended, but the data shows that the median is somewhere in there. You know, you're looking at 9% off your asking price. So it's not that crazy. New listings surging, as I mentioned in my Punta Gorda video, up 21% from last year. We're getting a listing influx here in Charlotte County. In total, active listings only up 6.3%, which is, again, not a drastic jump for Charlotte, but it's still You don't want to see it going up if you're a seller. Sitting at just under 3,000 homes at the end of September, according to this. 6.9 months of inventory. So I want to pop in here to illustrate some of those larger price declines. In May, it was down 15. April, it was 10%. February was 10%. 5%, 8%. So these are actually pretty small, which has left me questioning, is Charlotte County about to stabilize? I don't know. If you look at year-to-date median sales price, actually down 6.8%. Again, people telling me, no, prices are not declining. It's, this is 1 year, guys. This is to September. Prices are down almost 7%. This has been happening for 3 years. That's how we quickly get to 20% declines like we've seen around this area. But again, people still say no. And if you think it's not happening on the average, it's worse. It's negative 7.8%. Okay, Lee County, Fort Myers, Cape Coral is seeing another increase in sales as well, following the rest of the trend here we're seeing in Southwest Florida, though not as strong, only 14%. Seeing a slight price decline on the median, an increase on the average, that's very, very rare for Lee County in the past couple of years. They're getting about 93.5% of their ask. Okay, doing a little better than Charlotte there. What's going on with the pending sales? Up 11%, but total pending inventory down 0.6%. So kind of a net right there. Inventory of active listings up 12% from last year, sitting at 7,551, which might sound like a lot, but Lee County had 10,000 single-family homes listed recently. They were over 9,000, I think, on my last stats video, so that's a considerable drop. That is a combination of your delisters and increased closed sales happening, guys. That's just to be expected. Plus, this is supposed to be the slow time of year. We're not supposed to have really this much real estate activity during the fall, but listing or selling. So it's kind of it's a very weird year. They're at 6.7 months of inventory, which is the lowest Lee County has been maybe in a year. If they start listing heavy in season, this is going to balloon. We'll see where it goes. Naples, Immokalee, Marco Island, basically Collier County. I feel like I'm just showing the same chart over and over again. Sales up 25%. We're having a sales surge through Southwest Florida. Paid in cash, big jump, up 35%. And surprisingly, a slight price decline on both average and median for Collier. They're getting about 91.2% of their ask. That was at 88 last month, so an improvement. But yeah, we're just seeing so many sales. New pending sales up 18.8%. They put 18% more homes under contract this September than they did last September. Again, that's big. New listings, not really. They're actually down. That's interesting. Negative 3.1 in new listing contraction, but overall inventory still up 6.5%. That is very minuscule with what we've seen around Southwest Florida over the previous years. The fact that that's not double digits is actually impressive. 2,600 homes on the market, still 7.2 months of inventory, strictly a buyer's market by the Florida Realtors Association. I got to assume by the MLS, it's even worse. Switching gears back up north, we're going through Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, 17% increase in sales. I'm waiting for sales have been dropping. Sales have been dropping month over month, year over year, continuously in all of these places. And all of a sudden, August and September, boom, giant double-digit jumps in all of these areas for closed sales. Median sales price down 2.7%, average down 2.8%. Still can't stop the price declines in this region. Very small, but continuous. 95% of your asking price is what you can expect to get. New pending sales up slightly, so yeah, total pending inventory actually down. So they're not putting as much on the board as further south is. There's less homes under contract this time of year in this MSA than there were last year. 16% increase in inventory. These are the double digits I'm used to. 13,000 homes on the market. Still a heavy seller's market at 4.1 months of inventory. 6 months is balanced, guys. So they say 6 months is a balanced market. Anything over 6 months is a buyer's market, under is a seller's market. But as you can see, even in this seller's market, still price declines continuously. And Tampa has been in a seller's market all year long, and all year long, very, very slight declines every month, resulting in a cumulative 3% drop in their prices so far year to date on the median, a 3.5% drop so far year to date on the average. And again, you can see the exact same trend. The prices have not increased in this region by this metric year over year in over a year. and it's still a seller's market somehow. You guys thought I skipped Manatee County. I didn't. 25% sales increase. The same thing everywhere else. It's just all over Southwest Florida. Sales are exploding. Paid in cash up 40%. That's a big jump. They have no movement on the median sales price, negative 5.6 on the average. Pretty much all of these counties here, aside from the Tampa MSA, were bleeding heavily for the previous 6 months. This is a complete turnaround. It's not a forecast by any means, but these specifically the past 2 months, August and September that we've looked at, for some reason, it's just massive pop in sales. The price declines have either stopped or they've stabilized or gotten very, very small. It's an interesting anomaly. I don't know what season's going to do. Usually I would, last year with the hurricanes, I'd tell you season's coming. We're going to get blasted with listings. I don't know, because there's a lot of people listing right now too. New pending sales up 9.6%. Sorry, I skipped that. You get about 93% of your ask in Manatee there. New listings for the month of September actually down compared to the previous September, though their inventory still elevated 8% higher than it was the year before. Again, Manatee, a very strong seller's market, but price declines. So I have to wonder, like Southwest Florida, are people looking? It's not just one area now. It's pretty much the whole coastline. Sales are going through the roof. Are people seeing the price declines that have already happened here, the huge drops that have occurred in some of these areas, or even just some stabilization and saying, now's my time to get in? Interest rates are lower and prices are lower than they were a year ago. So maybe that's the combination to get people to come off the fence. And as I showed you, it's really, 70% of people still using financing. All right, let's head to the weird ones here. Ocala MSA. All I've heard is Ocala is doing so good, so good, so good. Yeah, well, this median sales price is $285, guys. You're going to attract a lot of buyers when you can get your median price is $285 instead of $400, $500. Average is $364 right now. But this is up quite a bit. Look at this, a 15% jump in their average sales price. Again, Ocala popping up along with Cape Coral on the top 10 highest foreclosure rates in the country list that I did recently. Sales only up here 6.3% though. So not seeing the massive jump in this area. 95% of your ask you're getting. New pending sales are up though, 12%. They had a strong September for putting houses under contract, though pending inventory looks unchanged from the previous year. Wow, down to the same exact number. What are the chances of that? That's inventory. Whoa, inventory up 30% in this area. Now that's interesting. That is what we used to see around Southwest Florida. We used to see 30% jumps around Southwest Florida year over year, and then we know what happened shortly after. Ocala, 5.8 months of inventory. This is a very big warning sign to sellers there. That a 30% jump in inventory year over year. Oh, and you're basically in a balanced market according to this. That is a warning shot that things might be switching here this season for this region of or for Marion County on the whole. And I want to pop in Ocala stats. Yeah, you don't see this often where I look. You don't see a lot of, there's 1, 2, 3 negative months in here for median sales price year over year. It ain't Southwest Florida where it's every month. These guys are actually up. So that 30% jump in inventory, I'd watch out, anybody in there. I think things could potentially start turning around here in Ocala. All right, what's happening in Orlando? Kissimmee, Sanford. Closed sales not really moving. Wow. Okay, only down 0.1%. Median sales price, average sales price, barely moving 1%. That's like a rounding error. 96%. Now we've been theorizing, is the Orlando area starting to stabilize? Maybe. That may be happening. What are their pending sales? Pending sales are actually down year over year. Their total pending inventory is down year over year. Interesting. Still a heavy seller's market. 4.4 months of inventory. Total listings up 13%. They may be stabilizing here. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, sales up 15%. Maybe it's a water thing. Maybe if you're by the water, because the center of the state is not seeing the kind of bumps that we're seeing on apparently the southeast coast and the southwest coast for closed sales. Cash sales up 19%. Miami prices rising again, 1.6, 2.5, though that's minuscule year over year. That's kind of standard. So maybe the mania is over there. You get about 94% of your ask. New pending sales up 10%. Total pending inventory, that's a rounding error, 0.2%. Listings up 11%. So far, guys, we haven't seen listings down anywhere. Listings have not dropped year over year anywhere. And they are down quite substantially in all these places from January, February, March. But they're still not below where they were for the previous September. 5.6 months of inventory, a 16% increase. If the listings flood the market again like they did the last 2 years, everywhere, almost all these places could be buyers markets. All right, what's going on in Jacksonville? 8.7% increase in their closed sales. Not bad. It's not as crazy as we've seen in other areas, but still up. Median sales price falling about 2.4%. Average sales price falling 1.1%. Nothing crazy, kind of standard. What's their pending sales doing? 5.6% increase. Total pending inventory down 10%, though. So they've got 10% less homes under contract than they did last year. They're going to have a slower fall, or the conclusion to the fall. But still a seller's market, according to this, 4.4 months of inventory. All right, thank you guys if you stuck around through all that data. Here's the bonus round for townhomes and condos. Closed sales even up on those year over year, 8%, but we're still seeing price declines, 4.8% on the median, 4.1% on the average. You can expect to get 92% for your condo in the greater state of Florida, though that will be lower depending on what area you're in. I'll do a condo video and kind of go through all these stats because I peeked at some of them and they are kind of nasty. Let's see what we got. Inventory still elevated, up 10% from the previous year. 66,000 plus condos, 9.1 months of inventory. Oh my God, still. I mean, this was at 10. This was a 10 or 11 at one point, so it's down technically, but even from a year ago, it's up 23%. That is no relief in sight for condos and townhomes. Just going to keep getting battered if this is where we're at. All right, that's it for me today, guys. If you like this video and this data, give me a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.